The beggar and the broke businessman wear the same invisible sign. You can't see it, but everyone around you can. It hangs in the air like a stench, broadcasting a single message to every person who crosses your path. This one has no power. This one can be ignored. This one is not a threat. And the most dangerous part, you put that sign there yourself. Every time you chose the cheaper option to save a few dollars. Every time you wore that worn-out jacket to an important meeting. Every time you drove that decrepit car to a business lunch. You thought you were being smart, practical, financially responsible. You were actually paying the highest tax of all, the perception tax. And it's bleeding you dry in ways you'll never see on a spreadsheet. Machiavelli understood something that destroys most people before they even realized the game was being played. He wrote that men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, because it belongs to everybody to see you, to few to come in touch with you. Translation: everyone sees your exterior, almost no one knows your true capabilities. Your appearance is your reality in their minds, and their minds control your opportunities. The world is not fair. The world is not rational. The world is a theater where perception writes the script of your life, and you've been cast as the person nobody takes seriously. Let me show you the trap you're in. You save money on clothes because you tell yourself quality doesn't matter, it's what's inside that counts. You drive an old car because it still runs and you're being financially prudent. You meet potential clients at cheap coffee shops because why waste money on expensive restaurants? You buy the generic everything, skip the details that cost extra, pride yourself on finding the discount option. And with every single one of these choices, you're broadcasting to the world that you are struggling, that you are desperate, that you are someone without options. The cruel mathematics of human psychology do the rest. Here's what happens in the mind of every person who sees you looking cheap. It's automatic, unconscious, brutal. Their brain performs a threat assessment in milliseconds. Status recognition is hardwired into human neurology because for thousands of years, aligning with the powerful meant survival, and aligning with the weak meant death. When they see markers of low status, worn shoes, cheap accessories, the desperate energy of someone trying to save every penny, their unconscious mind makes a decision: not worth investing time in, not someone who can help me, possibly someone who will drain my resources. And just like that, before you've said a word, you've lost. The door closes. The opportunity evaporates. The respect you needed to make that deal, get that job, attract that investor, it never materializes. You think you're saving money, but you're losing fortunes. That investor who would have written a check if you looked like someone who understood how to deploy capital, gone. That client who would have paid premium rates if you'd appeared premium yourself, they hired your competitor who showed up looking like success. That romantic partner who could have elevated your entire life, they never saw you as an option because your appearance screamed scarcity. The poverty trap isn't just about money, it's about the compounding effect of being underestimated. Every missed opportunity leads to another. Every closed door leads to 10 more that never even appear. You're not just losing individual chances, you're losing access to entire networks, entire levels of society that gatekeep based on the signals you're sending. And here's the part that should terrify you. This is psychological warfare, and you're losing without even knowing you're in the battle. Every interaction is a negotiation. Every meeting is a power assessment. Every moment someone's eyes are on you, they're deciding whether you're a player or a pawn. Looking cheap is surrender. It's walking into the arena unarmed while everyone else has weapons drawn. The world is predatory. Resources are limited. Opportunities go to those who look like they deserve them, not to those who actually do. Fair has nothing to do with it. Machiavelli's principle cuts to the bone. Men judge by appearances. All men have eyes, but few have the sense of touch. They see you before they know you. They decide about you before you speak. Your appearance is your argument, your opening statement, your first and often only chance to be taken seriously. And if that appearance broadcasts weakness, scarcity, desperation, the game is over before it begins. You can be brilliant, hardworking, honest, capable. None of it matters if you look like someone who can't afford better. Because in their minds, if you can't afford better, you haven't won yet. And if you haven't won yet, you're not someone they need to know. Now let's distinguish something critical, because this isn't about mindless spending or keeping up with people you can't afford to impress. There's a grand canyon of difference between strategic investment and perception, and the stupidity of buying things to feel better about yourself. Cheapness is refusing to spend on things that shape how others perceive your power. Frugality is refusing to waste resources on things that don't matter. The person who drives a modest car but wears an immaculate suit to every important meeting understands the game. The person who lives in a small apartment but invests in the details that people actually see, the watch, the shoes, the grooming, the environments where they meet others, they're playing chess. You've been playing checkers. There are visibility zones and invisible corners. Visibility zones are anywhere another person's perception of you is being formed. The clothes you wear to meetings, the car you drive to client visits, the restaurant where you take important lunches, the quality of your business cards, your website, your presentation materials. These are not expenses, they're investments with measurable returns. Every dollar spent here is a down payment on respect, access, opportunity. The invisible corners are where no one sees. Your home when you're alone. Your casual weekend clothes. Your private indulgences. Save ruthlessly here. Be as cheap as you want to here. No one's watching, no one's judging, no perception is being formed. This is the 80-20 principle of strategic appearance. 80% of how people perceive your status comes from 20% of what you present. Identify that 20%. Their shoes, because people absolutely notice shoes. The grooming, because it signals self-respect and attention to detail. The environments you choose for important interactions, because context shapes perception. The quality of anything you hand to someone or they touch. Business cards, portfolios, gifts. Get these right, and you can be relatively modest everywhere else. Get these wrong, and nothing else you do matters, because you've already been categorized as someone without power. But here's where it gets truly insidious. Cheapness doesn't just make you look poor, it makes you become poor. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy that tightens around your throat with every passing year. Every time you choose the cheaper option in a visible context, you're not saving money, you're investing in your own irrelevance. You're training the world to see you as someone who doesn't matter. And once that perception calcifies, once you've been mentally filed away in the category of people, without resources, without power, without options, the universe begins treating you accordingly. Opportunities don't come to you. Introductions aren't made. Invitations aren't extended. You've become invisible in the only way that truly matters. Invisible to those who could change your circumstances. The wealthy understand something that escapes the perpetually struggling. Abundance attracts abundance. Scarcity attracts more scarcity. This isn't mystical nonsense, it's cold, hard social mechanics. When you look like you're doing well, people want to do business with you. They want to be associated with you. They assume you know something they don't. That you have access to resources and information they lack. The appearance of success becomes a magnet that pulls actual success toward you. Meanwhile, the appearance of struggle becomes a repellent that pushes opportunity away. No one wants to board a sinking ship. No one wants to invest in someone who looks like they're already losing. Machiavelli understood this paradox intimately. He wrote that a prince must appear strong even when weak, abundant even when resources are scarce, because the appearance of strength attracts allies, deters enemies, and creates the very conditions that transform the appearance into reality. When you look powerful, people treat you as powerful, and that treatment gives you actual power. It's a virtuous cycle, but it only begins when you have the courage to invest in the appearance first, before the substance fully exists. This is the abundance paradox. You must spend money you don't quite have yet to create the perception that attracts the money you need. It's a calculated risk, but it's not gambling. It's understanding that in human societies, perception precedes reality. The job offer comes to the person who looks like they don't desperately need it. The investment flows to the entrepreneur who appears to have options. The romantic interest gravitates toward the person who seems desired by others. Everywhere you look, the pattern repeats. Those who broadcast abundance receive more. Those who broadcast scarcity receive less. The gap widens with every interaction, every impression, every unconscious judgment made in the first 3 seconds of an encounter. Write in the comments which law hits you hardest. I read every single one. Now let's talk about the currency that actually runs the world. Not dollars, not euros, not Bitcoin. Respect. Everything else is downstream from respect. And cheapness is the fastest way to drain your respect account to zero. When you nickel and dime. When you choose the obviously inferior option to save a few dollars. When you show up to important situations looking like you shopped at a liquidation sale. You're not being financially responsible. You're committing economic suicide in slow motion. Respect determines what people are willing to pay you. It determines whether they return your calls. It determines if they take your proposals seriously or dismiss them without a second thought. Two people can offer identical services, identical products, identical value propositions. The one who commands more respect will receive higher payment, better terms, more flexibility, more benefit of the doubt. Always, without exception. And respect, in our visual, status-obsessed world, is largely determined by appearance. When you look cheap, you destroy your negotiating power before negotiations even begin. The other party has already decided what you're worth based on your shoes, your watch, the car you arrived in, the quality of materials you present. They've unconsciously calculated your desperation level, your option availability, your position of strength to weakness, and they've adjusted their offer accordingly. You will never be offered premium terms when you present a discount appearance. It's impossible. The human brain doesn't work that way. This is why the poor stay poor and the rich get richer. It's not just about capital. It's about the respect economy. Those who look like they command respect receive opportunities that generate more resources, which allows them to maintain the appearance that commands respect. It's a self-reinforcing loop. Meanwhile, those who look like they're struggling receive worse terms, lower offers, less trust, more scrutiny. They have to work twice as hard for half the result, which leaves them with even fewer resources to invest in their appearance, which further degrades their position in the respect economy. The spiral continues downward. People pay premiums to those who look premium. This is not fair. This is not just. This is simply true. A consultant who shows up in a tailored suit with quality accessories will be paid 3 times what an equally skilled consultant in rumpled discount clothing receives. The product is identical. The knowledge is identical. The results might even be identical. But the perception is different, and in the respect economy, perception is everything. The client feels better paying more to someone who looks the part. They trust the judgment more. They implement the advice more readily. They refer others more frequently. All because of appearance. Every door you approach is guarded by someone making split-second judgments about whether you deserve to enter. These gatekeepers, whether they're receptionists, potential clients, investors, or romantic interests, are constantly sorting people into categories. Worth my time. Not worth my time. Has something I want. Has nothing I need. And cheapness is the fastest way to get sorted into the wrong category. Once you're there, once that door closes, it rarely reopens. You've lost the opportunity permanently, and you don't even know it happened, because rejection at this level is invisible. You're simply not considered. Your email goes unanswered. Your proposal sits unread. Your introduction is forgotten immediately. The compound interest of reputation works both ways. Build a reputation as someone of quality, someone who operates at a certain level, and every interaction reinforces that perception. Doors open more easily. Benefit of the doubt extends further. Mistakes are forgiven more readily. You're given access to rooms and conversations and opportunities that others don't even know exist. But build a reputation as someone cheap, someone operating from scarcity, and every interaction confirms that perception. Doors close. Trust evaporates. You're excluded from consideration before you even know there was something to be considered for it. Now we arrive at perhaps the most counterintuitive principle. Sometimes you must spend more than you should. Sometimes you must engage in what appears to be irrational extravagance. This is calculated extravagance, and it's a weapon in the hands of those who understand power. Machiavelli observed that princes who engaged in spectacular displays, magnificent festivals, extraordinary acts of generosity, secured loyalty and reputation far beyond what the actual cost would suggest. The spectacle itself became the message. It communicated abundance, confidence, power. It created stories that spread. It generated psychological impact that lingered long after the event ended. The return on investment wasn't immediate or direct, but it was massive and long-lasting. You need moments of strategic excess. Not constant waste, not mindless spending, but calculated displays that shift perception dramatically. The gift that's noticeably too generous. The venue that's clearly above what was necessary. The gesture that makes people stop and recalibrate their assessment of who you are and what you're capable of. These moments are expensive, yes, but they're investments in perception that pay dividends for years. When you take a potential client to a restaurant that's clearly beyond what the meeting required, you're not wasting money. You're communicating that you operate at a certain level, that you have resources, that you're successful enough to not worry about the cost. You're triggering unconscious associations between you and abundance, between your services and premium quality. That client will never see you the same way again. The category they've placed you in has permanently shifted upward. When you give a gift that's noticeably more thoughtful and expensive than expected, you're creating a psychological imbalance that the recipient will feel compelled to correct. They'll want to reciprocate. They'll want to justify the generosity by viewing you as someone important, someone valuable, someone worth maintaining a relationship with. You've just purchased real estate in their mind, and it costs you far less than you'll receive in return over time. This is the art of selective excess. You cannot and should not spend extravagantly on everything. That's not strategy, that's stupidity. But in key moments, with key people, in key contexts, spending more than seems rational is the most rational thing you can do. It creates memorable impressions that separate you from everyone else competing for the same opportunities. It generates stories that spread. It shifts perception in ways that mere competence never could. Most people get this exactly backward. They save money on the things that matter and spend on the things that don't. They'll pinch pennies on their professional appearance, but waste money on private consumption that no one sees and doesn't advance their position. They'll show up to a career-defining meeting in a cheap suit, but spend lavishly on entertainment that provides no strategic value. They're optimizing for the wrong variables, and they wonder why success eludes them. Here's your implementation blueprint. 3 immediate changes that will stop you from broadcasting poverty to everyone you encounter. First, audit every visible touchpoint where you interact with people who matter to your advancement. Your business cards, your email signature, your LinkedIn photo, the bag you carry, the pen you use in meetings, the quality of any materials you hand to others. These are your frontline soldiers in the perception war. If any of them look cheap, fix them immediately. This is not optional. Second, identify your visibility zones. These are the contexts where you're being evaluated by people with the power to change your circumstances. Client meetings, networking events, industry conferences, anywhere you're in the same room is opportunity. In these zones, you cannot afford to look cheap. Ever. Upgrade your appearance in these contexts first, even if it means staying modest everywhere else. The return on investment is immediate and measurable. Third, create one moment of calculated extravagance in the next 30 days. One gesture, one gift, one display that's noticeably beyond what's expected. Watch what happens. Watch how perception shifts. Watch how people recategorize you in their minds. This is your proof of concept, your demonstration that these principles work in the real world, not just in theory. The common mistakes are predictable. People upgrade everything at once and go broke. That's not strategy. People spend on brand names that don't actually improve perception, just cost more. That's being a mark, not a strategist. People confuse expensive with quality, flashy with impressive. They're not the same thing. Quality is often quiet. True power is often understated. But it's never cheap. Never obviously inferior. Never broadcasting scarcity. Your appearance is a weapon in a war most people don't even know they're fighting. Every day you're being evaluated, categorized, sorted into hierarchies of value and importance. Every interaction is a test you're either passing or failing. And cheapness is automatic failure. It's surrender before the battle begins. It's volunteering for irrelevance in a world that only rewards those who look like they deserve rewards. I invest in my image because I understand the game being played. My appearance is a weapon, not a weakness. I refuse to broadcast scarcity to a predatory world that interprets it as permission to exploit me. Strategic spending on perception is intelligence, not vanity. I play the power game with open eyes, and I refuse to lose by default because I was too short-sighted to invest in how I'm perceived. If this dark truth activated something in you, if you felt the recognition of patterns you've seen but couldn't name, subscribe. This channel exists to decode the Machiavellian principles they don't want you to understand, the dark psychology of power that operates beneath the surface of polite society. Next video, we're dissecting how being too nice makes you a target, how agreeableness is interpreted as weakness, and why the kind finish last while pretending they don't notice. Hit subscribe so you don't miss it. Remember Machiavelli's final words on this subject. It is better to be feared than loved, but appearance governs both. The world judges you in seconds and treats you accordingly for years. Make sure they judge correctly.